Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Cheap Seats. We still getting, settled in here, doing what we do. I am your host, Frank Holder. We are with comedians of New York fame, and of course, just fame, period. I got Fig right here, and comedian talent is coming. Don't worry about it, y'all, just because you don't see him right now. Does not mean he's not coming. But he is coming. And with that being said, oh yeah, thanks. I need to say box seats. I said cheap seats.
Did you say cheap seats? It's the box seats, man.
You know what, man? You know what? That's what happens when you're tired and you're running on, one tire. You know what I mean?
We moving on up, man. We moved from the cheap seats to the box seats, baby. We went to owners now. We in the owner's box.
That's right. You're the owner's box. And speaking of owner's box, that's a perfect segue for me to drop what I'm about to drop on you, Fig. Here's my question. We all know what went down with the NBA in the last couple of days. You could have missed it. What people didn't realize that I think that came out, especially this morning, I saw it several places this morning, is that Michael Jordan, former NBA player, was the liaison between the owners and the players. Now, we all know that a lot of people hold certain type of feelings towards the owners because they say the owners did not do enough. Now, coming from a perspective of looking at what the owners do and what they do not do, and what Michael Jordan has not done, and now what it seems like he's doing in the last couple of years. Do you think, is this a publicity stunt? Did he really do some work? Did he do just enough? I mean, what are your thoughts about Michael Jordan right now getting involved with the players and the ownership, trying to get them all to come to the table? Because let's be honest, right now, the players' games, I forgot to even mention, as of this morning, about 2 hours ago, a word has been officially put out that the NBA playoffs will resume tomorrow. So, with that being said, can you please tell me, Fig, what your thoughts are?
Well, first off, I'm happy about the NBA playoffs resuming. Just simply selfishly because I love, basketball is my favorite sport. Love basketball above and beyond anything. So I'm glad they're coming back. Two, I supported the players even during the protests and the boycott because before I was a basketball fan, I was a black man first. Mm-hmm. So I supported that. I as an older man, I believe that Michael Jordan is doing the right thing. I don't think it's a publicity stunt. As a matter of fact, I believe he's probably one of the only people that I can think of off the top of my head that is strategically placed to be able to do what it is that he did, being a majority owner of an NBA team and being an NBA player, and not just an NBA player, but to be arguably the greatest NBA player to ever play the game, which gave him a lot of clout when he speaks to the current NBA players. Like I would imagine that that a lot of them still look up to Michael Jordan and idolize him as far as his what he did on the basketball court and winning, and him being in a position to be able to have direct contact with all of the owners of the NBA. He is probably strategically placed to be able to be the liaison between those two parties and having influence on both sides.
Right. Well, the reason why I asked you that is because years ago, we all know that Jordan was scrutinized for not being involved more in the politics of what was going on in America. And then the questions have been arisen this morning on several websites, and several different people have said it from the media and even in Twitter and things like that, that now Michael Jordan is trying to save face because now he's getting more involved. And then I even saw an interesting point this morning that if he had gotten involved years ago, maybe we might not be in a situation today, which is putting a lot of pressure on Michael Jordan. I don't think that that's necessarily true. But what's your thoughts on that? If he had got involved and he had campaigned to get sports involved more, we probably wouldn't be in this position that we are today.
Well, I'll just say this. His initials is MJ. The J stands for Jordan, not Jesus.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who are in positions to be able to do something that wasn't a basketball player. I mean, maybe, look, who knows if Michael Jordan, back in the time when he was playing, if he would have got involved to the level that players can now, maybe he wouldn't be in a position that he is today. Maybe he wouldn't have that money. Maybe he wouldn't be in a position to be an owner of an NBA team. Maybe he wouldn't have, maybe Nike would have cut him. You know what I mean? Endorsements are not guaranteed. Maybe they would have dropped him. You just never know what could have happened had he stepped forward in a way that players are able to do now. You know what I mean? Look at all of the players that stepped forward before him. The Muhammad Ali's, the Jim Browns, like those guys being, excoriated by the media and by public, you know what I mean? Because they did step up. You know what I mean? So you're going to put this pressure on Michael Jordan as though he's some kind of savior and that he could, if he would have did this years ago, then the world would have been a better place to live. That's reaching at best.
That's ludicrous. I would agree with that. Let's get talent. Talent now has joined us. New York.
He's in the building.
Talent, thank you for joining the show. We appreciate you. Here's the conversation is right now, just to get you up to speed, is that on social media this morning and everything else, it was discovered that, well, let me just even back up a little further. Michael Jordan was supposed to be and has been the liaison between the NBA players and the NBA owners being able to move the NBA games and the playoffs moving forward. I saw on social media platforms several times a couple of things that were disturbing, whereas the question was arisen, if Jordan had got involved years and years ago, would things have been probably better off today in politics and in just about everything? So I posed a question to Fig saying, does he agree or disagree with that? And Fig basically said, just to give you a roundabout thing, that A, he's not Jesus, and B, that he probably didn't want to do that because he didn't want to get alienated from the boys club. Because let's be honest, you can't be an NBA owner unless the boys club agreed to allow you to come in ownership. Because there's several people who've tried to become NBA owners because they're billionaires and they have blocked them out. So it's not about how much money you have. It's about basically whether they accept you or not. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think first of all, I think had he got, I think the difference is that he's getting involved now because you want Superman as a man, not a boy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if we took Jordan earlier, Jordan didn't have the stature. All he was a great player with a great reputation. He didn't have what he has now. Now he has, like you said, that boys club. He's on that level that he can sit at the table with the owners and it's like, amongst us owners, here's what we need to do. Right. Had that been a long time ago, yeah, we might have been on a different course. But would it have the same impact? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We look at players, LeBron James included, that he didn't come into his greatness and start winning championships till 7 and 8 years in the game.
Right.
So you want a young Jordan who's all he has to show you is 50 points. Right. He don't have no chip to show you yet. But now we watch a guy who's matured past the championships, past the best business level that he could be to an ownership place. Mm-hmm. Now he's going in there with more to bargain with.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like that guy. I don't know if you guys gamble. I go to a casino. I like to go with a lot of money, not a little bit.
Right. Exactly. It's funny you brought that up. It's funny you brought that up because people was comparing Jordan to LeBron this morning, and Fig would tell you, I hate those comparisons. Because to me, not to go down that whole road, but just to say this real quickly, to me, they're two different players, two different eras, two different positions. But because the comparison was brought up this morning that LeBron is trying to become later on, he's made it known that he wants to be an NBA owner. But last night he spoke up after the NBA. Here's a key word. After the NBA Players Association, the NBA players and the NBA front office already agreed to move forward, LeBron spoke up some more. And they were like, why are you still talking about this? We already agreed. And they started to get upset. So Stephen A. came up and reported this morning. Adrian Wojnarowski reported some things this morning, saying that he might be hurting his chances because he's basically speaking out against the old boys club. Fig, agree or disagree that LeBron should have said what he said, or should he just kept his mouth quiet because they already had agreed?
Well, I don't, it's kind of hard to get into a man's mind and understand what his motivation was for saying what it is that he's saying. Sometimes frustration makes you blurt things out that you probably ordinarily, wouldn't have. So I really don't know what was the driving force for him to continue to say what it is that he said. But if you agreed to, to me, I believe that you should be able to say whatever you want to say as long as, you know, it's not disrespectful to anybody or whatever. You're not out of pocket, or you're not using a racial slur, or you know what I mean? As long as it's not that, you should be able to say whatever you want without any repercussion, because telling him to shut up or not to say what he said is almost like the shut up and dribble thing.
Right.
And I don't like that. Like, you know, either you only want NBA players to speak when they saying what it is that you agree with. And as soon as you don't agree with it, now it's shut up and dribble. I ain't going for that.
Right. What you think, Talent?
Well, I think he's right. 100%. I'm with Fig on that. I think, first of all, there's no comparison. Even I'm like you, Frank. I hate to compare decades and different times of play. But we've watched Jordan mature into this conglomerate. LeBron is still working his way. Hopefully, it's too early to tell. Is he going to be compared to Jordan when we say Jordan as a whole man, the businessman, the player, you know, the record breaker, whatever, you know, the community, you know, activist, the leader? We don't know yet. Right. You know, but I don't think, never will I say he should shut up. Here's what people are missing when they say, you know, your president 4 or 5 said, oh, they're making the sport too political, and, you know, it shouldn't be like that. It's just sports, it's basketball, play ball, all that. You're saying the same thing that Laura Ingraham said. When she said, shut up and dribble, you're saying that in another way. Right. When you say you can't be political, A, they're human beings, B, they're U.S. citizens, C, they're voters.
Right.
We're political whether you want to deny it or not. Like, we are people who will end up at the voting box. Right. We'll be at the ballot box casting the ballot for this one or that one. So I think that never be quiet. I don't care because we don't know who voted yay, who voted nay. So even though the eyes may have it and it goes this way, he still might feel something in his heart. So say it. Speak on what you feel.
Right. You know, and to piggyback off of that, Frank, when you know, back in the days when in the Olympics, when the United States was in the Olympics and we was going against Germany and stuff like that, when Hitler was still around talking about the great Aryan nation and all that stuff, the whole United States was pulling for Jesse Owens to dominate on the track and field, to, you know, to dispel what it is, the rhetoric that Hitler was spewing at the time. So when we go to the Olympics and we're representing our country, you want us to be political then. It's all right for us to be political then. But now when we at home and we trying to fight for the rights here at home, now you don't want us to be political. It's almost like what Muhammad Ali said. You want me to go across the country and fight for you, but then when I come back home, you're gonna treat me like I'm less than human.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, let's get ready to switch gears right now. Now it's time, of course, the time part of the show. We do what we normally do. We always invite our guest, and this time, let's invite our guest and a 17-year NBA veteran, Mr. Rod Strictland. Also,
yes, sir,
Rod Strictland, and you know, one of my favorite players from back in the day. Even though he played for the Knicks, you know, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's a problem. But first of all, Rod, thank you for joining the show, man. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Hey, where you from? Where you don't like the Knicks?
Bro, I'm from Boston. I'm from Boston.
Huh?
I'm from Boston. We ain't gonna talk about that right there. We ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I get it now. Okay, we can.
You understand? All right, but I'm glad you joined the show, man. But you know, after everything had jumped off the last couple of days, we were talking about certain things, but I don't want to talk about that right now because our time with you is limited. So let me jump into some things that have been pressing on our mind before the situation happened. I want to ask you, being that you are an NBA coach now, the G League, without having the draft the way we normally have the draft, without being able to evaluate the players, the name, you know, like a coach would, do you think that some players will slip down and fall down lower in the voting? Because, you know, Minnesota got number 1 draft pick, Golden State got number 2. You know, will there be some gems that'll fall between, you know, 5 to 15? Or all right, how are you looking at the draft? How are you guys basically looking at this whole year? Because, like I said, it's crazy.
Well, first, I'm not coaching in the G League. I work at the NBA office, kind of managing the select team program for high school elite kids coming into the G. But as
Gotcha.
far as the draft, it's going to be interesting because I mean, COVID has kind of changed how everything is being run. So, you probably won't have that face to face with
Right.
players. So I don't know whether it's video or I think everything is still kind of up in the air. But what we do know is that we know the top players, so it's just a matter of where they're getting picked. But as far as the draft is just going to be it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be a lot of guys have you get all the influx of college players who say they want to come out early. Before COVID, you have the draft, combine in Chicago, so you have an opportunity to play against everybody. You have an opportunity to kind of raise your stock, and so now you won't have that opportunity probably. So it's going to be a lot from what coaches and organizations have seen and what they hear and maybe video or what have you. But it'll be an interesting process this year.
Okay. All right, Talon, you got a question for him?
Yeah, what's up, my brother? First of all, thanks for joining on the show. This is my dude right here. I was already gonna like tell you that we're dealing with a Boston night. You got me and Fig, our diehard New Yorkers, that's holding it down every day, and we got to put up with this every day, bro. Yeah. Speaking of Boston, I got a question for you. In the NBA, when it resumes, let's just assume that it will resume what it was doing in the playoffs. Boston has kind of came out a sleeper on the East. Do you see Boston as, after that last series coming into the next one, do you see them as a bona fide threat going forward in the East?
Yeah, I like Boston. I said that before the season started. I like Boston. I like Boston when they had Kai, and I like them, now that they have Kimba. You know what I mean? They have three talented guys who can make plays on their own. You got Kimba, you got Jaylen Brown, got Jason Tatum. They're all capable of making plays. I think when you look around the NBA, you see a lot of teams and they have this one guy or maybe two guys where, they handle the ball a lot, make the plays, and everybody else is standing around the corners. But I think the more playmakers you have, especially the further you go in the playoffs, I think you have a better chance. So, if Hayward was there, that'd be even tougher. But I think they have three bona fide go-to guys. So I like Boston. I like the way they coach. And I like the way they play. But I think they're built to give Toronto and Milwaukee a run. But Toronto and Milwaukee's tough. Toronto's tough because they have experience. Even though Kawhi is gone, they all have been through the trenches. They won a championship, so they know what that feels like. Boston is still trying to experience that. And so that becomes a process, too, because sometimes you got to bang on the wall and get your head knocked in, and then you get through the door. So, I think Boston, we'll find out, if their experiences in the past have helped them, get better. But I like Boston. I like Boston a lot.
Right. Fig, you got a question?
Yeah, I got a question. Listen, I need to know. I want to rewind. Since you evaluate talent and the Knicks, which we love, Knicks, New York, baby.
That's right.
Since we only got number 8.
Right.
Can you see somebody who you think that might drop down and be a gem? Because in the draft, the people that pick 1 and 2 and 3, they don't always get the gems.
Right.
Sometimes that gem is like the diamond in the rough falls down a little bit. Who you see number 8?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really looked at that enough. I know I like Obi Toppin, but he may go higher than that. I also like the guard from, I want to say it's Iowa State. I can't pronounce his name. Is it Halliburton or something like that?
I know what you're talking about,
I like him a lot. I think he has a great feel for the game. He has an IQ. He can pass. He has a funny shot, but he can make it. But his IQ and his feel for the game, like I like him. But I haven't thought about that enough, to be honest. But Halliburton, I know I watched him during the course of the season, and I really liked him. And obviously, you got the top guys, Melo I love the kid from Georgia. I'm getting brain locks, but the wing from Georgia is really, really good. He'll probably be the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, being that we're talking about the draft, we also talking about the NBA playoffs. I know you're looking around the playoffs. You watch the playoffs like we did. What team do you think hit Sixers? What team do you think should have performed better because they had a dominant, presence and they could have? Now I'm throwing it out there to Sixers because I was, even though I'm a Celtics fan, I did expect more from Joel Embiid and everything else. But what team do you expect to do really, really well? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so.
Yeah, well, I think it's happened how it's supposed to happen. Philly's gone. I don't think they were good enough. I look at Houston without Russell Westbrook. So if they don't win, I'm sure people will look at that like a disappointment.
Well, Russell's coming back today. Just came out.
He's coming back today. Okay.
Yeah.
They still may take an L, but I think we'll have to. I like OKC because I love the way they're playing. Like I've always been a big fan of Chris Paul, but I'm an even bigger fan now because what he's done is incredible.
Yeah.
Right.
As a king, Russell Westbrook had, the previous year.
Right.
There was a lot going on. He comes in, he brings some leadership, he brings these guys together, and, they're winning games, and they have a good chance to beat Houston.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any real disappointment at this point. I think Philly's, I don't know, there's something about Simmons and Embiid, are they meshing together? Like the chemistry of that whole team. It seems like they have to make some changes, and they may have to separate one of those guys.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I just want to come to that. Like something he said is very interesting, because you could have 2 good players, but they may not mesh together, right? And I think also, Rod, I think it's a leadership thing. I like when I look at Philly, leadership doesn't exude from anybody.
Yeah.
I don't see a leader automatically.
No, I agree with you, and I think they have to figure that out. But in terms of those 2 players, it's almost like Embiid should be playing more inside, and he can play on the outside as well, but he needs shooters around him. And then you have Ben Simmons, who's a creator but can't really shoot the ball and really doesn't want to shoot the ball, so you need shooters around him. I think before did they trade Al Horford? Before they got Al Horford or Jimmy Butler, one of them, they had shooters around those guys.
Yes.
Right. They did.
They were playing pretty well. And then you brought in these other guys who were not knockdown shooters. So I think either you separate them or you surround them with shooters.
And I think when you don't have a leader, a lot of people, whether it's 5 guys on the floor or 4 coming off the bench or not, people don't know their role. If you don't have a lead, one thing I remember by being a diehard Knicks fan, the best days is when you played on that court, bro. And me and you talked about this on other times about Rick Pitino was on to something when he played the double guard with you and Mark. But your answer to that was like, he was like, yeah, T, you're right. It was something, but they didn't play it enough. Or they would do it, when there's a 20-point blowout or the game's already over. But at times when we could have took over a game by me and Mark being on the guard, when I see you on the court, bro, I remember, and Knicks had some big boys. And Rod be in their face, like, yo, you wasn't in there. You see, you box out. You where the pick at? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at Rod like, you 7-footers is like, okay, Rod, you right. Sorry.
Well, and to be honest, though, and it's funny because when John Wall, Derrick Rose, when they were coming out, I used to always tell them, the hardest part for you dudes is going to be when you get in the league and your idols are on your team. And are you going to be able to direct them? And are you going to be able to not give them the ball when they don't need it? You know what I mean? Like, that's tough. Especially, the era I came in, because, it was different. You had Oak and Pat and all these guys, and, they were sunning you, right? So, you didn't come in like you the guy. Like, you had to bow down to these guys. But then you had to figure out your mojo, and then you had to, if you got the ball in your hands, you got to dictate, and you got to have the understanding of when guys are not playing well, and you got to help them, get them the ball, when you got to say certain things to guys, when you got to take the blame, and it might not even be your blame. So I think Philly could definitely use some of that, because I think they have two young guys who are trying to establish themselves. And sometimes when you're young and you just get in the league, it becomes more about you than the team. And that's progress and maturity and all of that. And again, it goes to leadership. So the next coach will be important because you got to have the respect of these players that they're going to follow.
Right.
So,
you know what? That's leading up to something that I wanted to ask you, because I remember when Kobe and Shaq played together, they didn't, that first year that they were together, they really didn't win. And then they had Phil come in.
right.
And Phil sort of kind of, he stabilized the team, galvanized them, and then they won. So is there a coach that you think that could come in and kind of, fix Philly, kind of straighten them out so they'd be able to play together as a unit?
Well, right off the top, and I don't know if he would do it, but Mark Jackson could do it. Ty Lue could do it. And these are guys who have played in the NBA.
Right.
They have great experience. Mark, for whatever you want to say, that Golden State team, Mark put that mojo in them.
Mm-hmm.
He made them believe in themselves. And then Steve Kerr came in and he took them to another level.
Right.
But I think Mark has had that experience, right? And so I think you get a big understanding. Once you've had an experience, you kind of know, right? First, for Mark, that was his first go around. So he was figuring it out. So now he did a great job, right? But now he's had a chance to hear all the criticism or hear all the compliments. He's had a chance to see basketball the way it is now, up close in front, personal, almost every game. So I think he'll do a great job. And T. Lue is a champion. So that will be respect right there.
Right. Well, it's coming down to that part of the show now. We're coming down at the time where we ask the NBA player who's a veteran, always comes in. We ask them who they think's coming out of the East and who they think's coming out the West and who's taking the whole thing. So, Rod, who's coming out the East, who's coming out the West, and who's taking the whole thing?
That's a tough one, right? Because my instincts, I want to say Toronto, because they're just playing like a well-oiled machine. I think Milwaukee is going to struggle with Giannis having to handle the ball so much and not being a great shooter. But I like Boston, so I'm gonna take the long shot and I'm gonna go with Boston.
Wow.
I love this dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't. Yeah. I like Boston, and then on the other side, it comes to the LA teams. I think it's the Lakers or the Clippers, and the Lakers have started to play like they're supposed to play, and I think they're going to get better and better. I think LeBron takes plays off right now, waiting for the moment. But the Clippers are so deep, and they have so many guys that you can put on LeBron and kind of wear him down, that if I had to bet the house on it, I might go with the Clippers.
That's what we said. I said the Clippers taking the whole thing.
So, I may see the Clippers now. The Lakers could do it. I wouldn't put anything past. But if I had to, put some money on it, I probably would go with. Well, if I had to put money on it, I would go Lakers Toronto. If I had to put some money on it. But I'm gonna tell y'all the Lakers in Boston.
Yo, you so New York, yo. You so New York. You know what's funny? It's funny because it's such in the league today in sports as we know it, like betting is kind of like that taboo spot. But New York dudes always say, yo, if I had to put money on it though.
and let's just say we were gonna bet a penny. So,
but that's so New York though, man. Like we always say that though. We like, man, but if I had to put money on it.
All right, can you tell everybody out there what you got going on now, what you're doing now, and then how we can follow you and stay in contact with you? And we got to bring you back on again because we didn't even talk about Kyrie Irving. We didn't talk about a couple of other things, especially the old days with the, we got to get you back in, but please.
No, for sure. Talent called me and say, he don't even have to ask. He was like, yo, you coming on such and such day at such and such time. So, that's what it is.
Right.
But right now, I'm the program manager for the Select Team Professional Path, which is, we have elite high school kids coming into the G League. As their own team. We're out in Oakland, California. Brian Shaw is the head coach, so I'm kind of managing that. we'll have 5 to 6 elite players. We'll put some veteran players with them, and we'll form a team. And they'll be developed.
Wow.
They'll be developed on and off the court.
Wow.
From August to April. On the court, obviously, player development with Brian Shaw, who's a champion.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, off the court programs, financial literacy, relationships, nutrition, business. So this is kind of that one and done play, like just as a pro. So
Right.
Wow. Nice.
I'm leading that, and then I'm also coach player relations in the G League. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And on Twitter, man, I think I'm Rod Strictland 1, and then I think on I don't know. Just look for Rod Strickland.
Hey, yo, Rod, I think on Twitter, I think you Rod Strictland 1. But I had to put money on it, though.
Rod,
I think on Instagram I'm Rod_Strickland 1, something like that. But you can find me on there.
Thank you for taking out the time. We appreciate you, Rod. We're gonna get you to come back. We're gonna get you
absolutely anytime, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Love you, brother. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Salute.
Always. You already know.
Knicks for life.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. Y'all saw Mr. Rod Strictland. He brought it in right then and there. He had some great comments too, especially talk about the the NBA playoffs. Now, here's my question with you guys. Okay, like we was talking about, Mr. Russell Westbrook, because of the time off. Now he's official. Now he's coming back. Talon said the other day that it was going to be a difference with him coming back in the league. Talon, you still sticking with that? What's your thoughts with Russell Westbrook coming back in for you?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because, with all this going on, when I cut on the channels, man, and get my news and my sports news, that's the first thing they saying is how aggressive and like nice and like he is in practice in the warm-ups already. They're like, yo, dude is coming back, jumping out the gym. He's got all the faculties. He's looking real powerful right now. So I don't go against it. I stick with what I said. He's gonna be the difference, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pete.
You know what? See, that was my caveat before they boycotted, and I was like, man, if Russell come back and he's strong, he's taking it to the hole. You know what I mean? I would say that Houston is gonna pull it out. You know what I mean? But if he's taking shots from the deep seats, then I don't give him no better chance than they had before. But if I had to put money on it. I go with Houston. Russell, I don't care if nobody say Russell a beast. So if he's coming back and he can play, I would go with Houston because that kid he's unstoppable, man, when he's in his bag.
Right. Okay, so with that being said, now it's time for the part of the show. We bring in another comedian. So he can tell us, everybody, what he thinks about what you say, whether he agree or disagree. Everybody, welcome to the show. Of course, you're watching Mr. Kenny Williams. Kenny, how you doing today, brother?
It's Kenny
Aloysius
Williams.
Hey, Frank, I didn't know you booked Kenny Williams. I thought we was going to get Timothy the Street Clown to talk street basketball.
We could.
And we see Kenny showed up. He broadcasting from his army tent.
He good. Hey, Kenny, thank you for joining the show, man. We appreciate you. So, Kenny, we're having a conversation here, right? Kenny, who you think is right now? Who you think right now? Because we always start with who's power and everything else. Let's start right at the top, right there. Who you think gonna take the whole thing? And because Fig got the Clippers. I want the Celtics. I got the Clippers. Talent, even though Talent had the Blazers, I think. Did you change up now? Since obviously
I'm not changing up until they lose, bro. Not until it's official.
All right, so Kenny, who you think's taking the whole thing, man? Since we talking NBA playoffs.
He looked like he in the bubble.
I'm going with no. First of all, can you do for me? Can you shut off their video and mic?
I could, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I know. I like Portland also.
So you got Portland, even though they down 3-1.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah,
So
like
if they win an NBA championship, who they facing coming out of the East?
I'm still with Milwaukee.
Okay,
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Milwaukee.
Okay. So with that being said, you got Milwaukee and you got Portland coming out now. Who's to say with other teams going? You know, I don't know. I'm not going to jump in there. But my next question that we've been asking everybody is, because there's a debacle going on in New York, and then New York got a coach, and in Philly, they looking for a coach. What's your thought process on how that Philadelphia 76ers series? Because right now, you know, that's been the series that's been like everybody just shaking their head, and the Dallas series got everybody going. You know, what's the series that got you, you know, you're most curious into right now as we speak today? Like, where's your serious interest at?
It's sad as far as like with Philly. I think even with Ben Simmons is that Philly just doesn't have it. They just can't make it past. They just can't make it past it. And I think a lot of it has to do with Embiid.
Too much curry.
Town, you got a question for Kenny?
Yeah, Kenny. So here's the thing: we're talking about NBA right now. So let's shift to. We're lucky that we're gonna get back to playing ball because of what happened and them boycotting or whatever the case may be. I want to know how Kenny Williams feels about the boycott. Was it the right idea to boycott? Was it also the right idea to resume play? And if not, tell me why you feel so.
They had to. You started the whole thing with the Black Lives Matter. You it all happening. They had to take a break in the action. I see why they wanted to continue. It still said something. It still made a point of it. You know what I mean? For them to go back, nobody should be look at it on the way. They had to. You know what I mean? Black Lives Matter was the big part of what they're doing. So with this sensational situation that happened, they had to do it.
Right. Well, in case you're just tuning in, you're watching the Box Seats. Box Seats, we got comedian Kenny Williams, one of New York's finest. He's also in the building. Fig, you got a question for Kenny?
Yeah, man, I got a question for my boy. Now listen, I mean, all the way from Greater Brownsville, you know, you've made great leaps and bounds. I just want to know, what do you think about Michael Jordan coming all the way from an NBA player now to a majority owner, being the liaison between the players and the owners to negotiate them coming together to be able to hash this thing out going forward, to talk, you know, everybody in to come back to playing. What do you think about Michael Jordan having that spot to be able to do something like that?
It's big, and it's finally. I've been saying this. I remember having this conversation with Talent, and I said my only thing that I always had against Jordan is that he never said anything to what's happening in the community, right? Like with his whole thing, even with his sneakers, there's so many people are dying. Now, I'm not saying that he need to come up there and do some boycott, but say something.
Right.
I think with him saying something, it would go, you know, it would help the situation. So it's big of Jordan, especially him being an owner in the game, to be, it only makes sense. And it's finally that Jordan said something.
Right.
Well, Kenny, it's that part of the show where we ask people to tell us what they're doing right now, what they got going on, your social media handle, all that stuff, how we can find you. So what you got coming up, and how can we follow you?
I can't hear.
What do you have coming up? You have events coming up, and how can we follow you?
Okay.
Can you hear him, Kenny?
He's on the test site of umbrellas. See that big umbrella behind?
I'm gonna come in and come back in. Something. Hold.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I gotta.
Good luck with that. Good luck with taping Get Out 2. He's filming Get Out 2. Good luck out there. Don't die. Okay.
Yeah.
He's on Jordan Peele's set for Get Out 2. You can see they got him. They got him in the black boy cocoon. Anyway,
he's in a sucking place.
I just got hit on the sidebar. Rodney Perry had wanted to jump on board. So if we can't get Kenny back, we give 2 minutes to Rodney be dope. But I like what see, let me say this on the Jordan thing since we brought that up again. I had to tell a viewer just yesterday, because their first thing was like, well, I'm upset. Where's Jordan? Because back with Jim Brown and back with this one and that one. My thing is this. People have to do things that they feel from their heart, not just because or to make the news as doing the right thing. And I said that 24 hours ago, and not 24 hours later, here comes Jordan saying, I'm going to get involved because the people need me. The ball players need me to be the mediator because I was a ball player. I'm still connected, and I'm an owner now. So I'm going to be that person to make it happen. So I say all that to say, we got to stop worrying about what everybody's doing. We got to do our part, let them do their part in their own time and fashion, because otherwise it's genuine. You know what I mean?
Right. So let's wrap up with Kenny. Kenny, tell everybody out there how they can follow you and what you got coming up, and then we're going to start this conversation with Rodney Perry, who's just joined us. Go ahead, Kenny. How can we follow you and what you got coming up? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up there, Rodney? There. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. IG Kenny Will, Kenny Will Comedy, and also IG Timothy the Street Clown.
There it is. Thank you, Kenny. We appreciate you joining the show, Kenny. We appreciate you.
Okay.
His Wi-Fi is jacked up. Rodney
His
Perry.
Wi-Fi, the background is scary. He looked like Darth Vader had him in a hoodie.
He was in an army tank.
Well, with that being said, we got comedian extraordinaire, and this is one of my favorite comics in the game. It's my man Rodney Perry.
Mine too.
Years.
Yo, okay. Let's start from the top. First of all, about time, Michael Jordan. About damn time. Y'all sitting here giving this dude a pass. He don't get no pass. He had a chance to say shit for to say stuff for 50 years, and now he the mediator. That's just like the dude from Django, Sam Jackson. You feel me?
Right.
Well, y'all better get back to work. They want y'all back to work now. Get here now. Come on now, Michael say, get here now. And I love Michael Jordan. I'm from Chicago. I am a Michael Jordan fan.
Oh God.
I'm not a Bulls fan. I'm a Michael Jordan fan. But come on, Mike. Mike, what does Mike do? One of the fundamental problems of this police brutality is the fact that it don't start with the police. It start with the prison reform got to happen for police reform. Because as long as you got to fill them beds in a prison, you won't have police doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Woo! Talk about it.
And who's putting a big chunk of their money in prison?
Michael.
Let's go.
Okay, Rodney.
Wait a minute.
Rodney, he's trying to go politics. I ain't trying to go too deep into politics, Rodney.
I'm not going there.
We got great points, though. Great points. Go ahead, Fig.
I want to know, Rodney, in what state are you running? And what's gonna be your platform? Because you got my vote already.
I said we ain't trying to go politics, Fig. Come on, ask me.
No.
Right.
It's interesting the way sports has crossed politics, and we are seeing these young athletes. This is the thing. Tupac said this: the revolution ain't gonna come from no old dude. Right. You know, all of us. Let me tell you something. They start shooting around us, we going the other way.
Right.
So it's gonna be young men. And that's what we're seeing with the NBA. They all young. They all under 30. I think LeBron might be one of the elder statesmen at 35. And so that's the top of the food chain on age. And young people are going to lead the revolution. And so I think that's what we're seeing right now with the NBA.
Right.
I always say this, Frank. I always say this. We can't. I don't want to call it politics or political. we're all just citizens who got a vote to cast. So right now, the climate is so engulfing with everything you see now comes back to vote. It comes back to, I don't want this. I need this because I don't want this. And it comes back to the vote. And now here we are in the middle of the NBA, and all they're talking about on all the channels is the NFL because the NBA did what they did. It's all talk about NBA, but let's remember where it started. NFL, baby.
Right. Yeah. Now, speaking of NFL, Rodney Perry, did you hear what Brian Urlacher said this morning and how
I did hear him hear a soundbite or a clip of him talking about Brett Favre played out his dad died. That comment talking about. The NBA. What white people lack in America is context.
Right.
Like the fact that you would even bring that up. This is not. We're not. I mean, God bless that young man that got shot getting in his car. But this is not just mourning his death. This is the last straw. Right. So I mean, what's happened? What happened in Milwaukee with the basketball team with the Bucks? That's the last straw.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not them going, oh, we so hurt we can't play. That's not that.
Right.
That's not my dad died. My mom gone. Was I sad? Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
Right.
That was a horrible analogy for him to use anyway, to say, well, I don't know why they stopped playing because when Brett Favre dad died, he played that night on Monday Night Football and threw 4 touchdowns. What the hell are you talking about?
No, here we go.
You got to qualify it. He was a football player and he had a car wreck 5 or 6 times a game, every play. Wow. So his head, he might be a little shaky up top.
Yeah. Now let me switch gears. Hold on, Frank. Let me switch gears, bro. Let me just ask you.
You talked to him today, Frank. He probably still going, I said that?
Yeah, exactly. let me get into the sports world now. Let me ask you some sports questions now. Sports, ask questions, anything like that. Now, when you were watching the NBA playoff, we saw a couple of travesties, but what sticks out to you? Is it what's going on with the Sixers? Is it what's going on with Dallas? What's the thing that right now at this point you're saying, wow, this is like a travesty? You know
what? That's a great word, and the biggest travesty going on in the NBA right now. And LeBron's hair, man. I'm serious, dude. Like, I know he spent a lot of money on moving his hair around, but he got to cut it off, man. LeBron got to cut his hair off. It's a travesty. Like, LeBron is slowly turning into George Jefferson, and I don't like it. He's LeBron.
He said, wait a minute. He spent a lot of money on moving it around.
No, because he took some from the back and moved it up here.
So that's a travesty, Rodney Perry.
That is a travesty, Frank. Like I don't like the lighting in the bubble, because the lighting in the bubble, see the lighting in the NBA arenas, you can't see it. But the lighting in the bubble, that's why LeBron always got a frown on his face, because he's like, man, this ain't my life.
This ain't my life.
Oh, Rodney.
Because his little spot is almost light skinned.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be Fid's spot. No,
y'all are hearing words right there. That's
hold on. Frank, we're gonna need, when we get off the air, we gotta find an actual day. Rodney gotta come back, and we gotta get ready for Rodney.
We gotta keep the show rolling because we got a couple of callers calling in, and we gotta keep the show rolling. Rodney, how can we find you? How can we find you? Tell us, all your
don't look for me. Don't look for me. Don't worry about it. I got enough followers. I'm going the other way, Frank. I'm eliminating followers. You can't get in. You gotta be on it.
He said, don't worry about it.
I know every single one of my followers, all 80,000 of them.
Well, we appreciate you joining the show, Rodney Perry, man. We're gonna figure out a way we get you in.
I love y'all, Frank.
We love you, Ron.
I love you, Fig. I love you, Talent. I'm gonna come on and do a segment called I Disagree. Well, whatever y'all say.
Thanks, Rodney. We appreciate you, bro.
Oh, man.
Rodney
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I disagree.
That's not a bad idea because he.
That's not a bad idea. Just like 5 minutes so you parking. I disagree.
I disagree. I like that. I like that. Now we came to the part of the show where we have a callers call, and we want to open the door to anybody out there. If you are watching this show called Box Seats, and whether you agree or disagree with something that somebody said, we got comedian Fig here, we got talent here. We have you dial in. You can dial in and say whether you agree or disagree, whatever we got going on. Right now, it looked like we got, let me pull this up, and we got Stack again.
Stack again.
What's up, fellas? I'm back again.
All right, Stack, you got 60 seconds. What do you got to say in your 60 seconds? No, you got.
First of all, on the note of the boycotts, right? Y'all mentioned that LeBron and Jordan ain't on the same level when it comes to like the mogulness and all of that. False. LeBron started making his money real early, so he gonna surpass Jordan. I mean, pretty much. He already got the $1 billion deal from Nike, right? Already. He had $90 million before he picked up an NBA basketball. He got the media company. He got the advertising company. He got the film. Like, LeBron, he's out of here. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to that. And then as far as speaking up, I appreciate all the young players for doing that. Just 60 years ago, Bill Russell and all the black players on the Celtics and all the black players on the St. Louis Hawks, they boycotted the game. They walked right out of the arena for the same reasons, racial injustice. You know what I'm saying? What else? Rod Strictland. It was nice to see a basketball mind on here and a New Yorker. Let y'all know the Celtics is the real deal. That's all I wanted to say.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I keep that. You know what I'm saying? Also, I don't know if y'all knew, but something came out about the NBA boycotts. The players are going back, but they had some demands, and the demands were met. One of the demands is that that they turn all the arenas into voting locations for this election. Another one is that they're gonna have reserved advertising commercial during the playoff games for
Wow, that's dope.
For like social justice. And there was one more thing. They're gonna make a coalition, a players, coaches, and owners coalition for social justice. So I thought that was dope.
Yes.
Yeah, that's dope. They told us that came out obviously in the last hour since we've been on.
Yeah, like maybe 10-15 minutes ago, honestly. So y'all might want to know that.
That's nice.
I got Houston over OKC. All right.
Well, you've been wrong before. You've been wrong before.
Yeah, you're right.
You're entitled.
I was wrong for believing that your name would fit your skill set. Let me stop.
Stack!
You know you're going up against a comedian, right? You know that, right?
Hey, I already know it's coming, though. You know what I mean?
And the worst part is gonna come while you're not on the air with us. That's the worst part.
No, here's the thing. No, here's the thing. See, Stacks is smart. Stacks keep his lighting over there limited. You know what I mean? Because if you lit that room up, you know he was in a group home closet right now. Because he's a counselor at the group home. But we're gonna leave that alone because he knows it's basketball. We're gonna leave it alone.
Stack, thank you for taking out the time to call us, man. We appreciate you. We're gonna probably see you next week. And you do. But now we gotta get ready to wrap up the show. So
thanks for the information, yo. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Stacks.
All right,
and listen, who would have known that the Walmart in Boston didn't sell irons? Because that shirt was wrinkled.
All right, but so now before we get ready to rock up out of here, we want we go in some closing statements. I'm gonna give you guys. You got 60 seconds to say now that everything's going on. Talent. I'm gonna kick it off with you because now you know everything. But he just gave us the last 10 minutes. The news broke everything. Which when we leave, before we walk up out of here, if you're watching the Box Seats, what's your thoughts on what's going on right now?
Well, I think that my opinion is, and I'm glad he came in. That was everything today was grace of God. The timing. Right. Yeah. The last two segments was not planned. They were straight winged out, and they were excellent. They brought light to our whole show and brought it to a nice wraparound closing. I think from the information just given to us by Stacks, if those things are true, man, I think that's awesome. I like the fact that we didn't have to sit through a haggle with owners and the NBA, and we want this, and back and forth how things can be. Because
that
to be
might
honest
be
with you,
what's going behind the scenes. I'm sorry to cut you off.
yeah,
That might
but I know. I mean, it happened so fast to me, And I think this is what our people of oppression or minority in this country wish the justice system was like. Something happens, it gets dealt with, worked out, boom, we move on for the better. I think that's where the frustration and the climate that we're in is because things are, I mean, we're still hashtagging and say her name and still Breonna Taylor. And it shouldn't be. I mean, if you're going to tell me no, cool, tell me no. You're going to tell me yes, cool, tell me yes. But don't drag me along hoping the fire gets dimmer and dimmer so that you can hit me with the okie doke. So I think if all those things were met that Stacks just said, I think that's awesome. You got commercials in there. So not only do you have to wait to the end of the game for me to talk about social injustice, we're reminding you while you're watching us play. The owner's a coalition. So now you don't have the player way over here, the owner way over here on cloud 10. We're collated. So everything that we're feeling and that's going on, we all know about it. Kudos to the NBA.
Big,
no doubt. There was a lot of stuff on social media talking about, oh my God, these guys boycotted for 18 hours or, it was so fast and stuff like that. Here's the thing. Millionaires and billionaires are in the business of getting things done that they want to get done right away, immediately, on time, once upon a time called right now. So that's how the top echelon of people, businessmen, know how to come together, write out their demands, what it is they want, and they know how to get things done. Kudos to the NBA players and the NBA owners getting together. And you know what I got to say? Listen, this probably wouldn't have happened. I know a lot of people didn't think about it, This probably wouldn't have happened had not Michael Jordan, an NBA owner and an ex-NBA superstar, the GOAT, was the liaison between the players and the owners because he's one of the only people in the world that has worn both hats. Kudos to Michael Jordan. And finally, y'all can take that, red scarlet letter off of him because he did do something socially active and he is making progress.
Tell everybody out there how they can follow you, find you, all that.
Like Rodney Perry says, none of your business. Don't look for me. I'm on Twitter. It's just comedy. Talent the comedian on the IG and Facebook, King Talent Harris. Salute you.
Oh, Greg, how about you?
You can't find me. Comedian Fig. If you can't find Comedian Fig, I'm just telling you, you wasn't supposed to.
Right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you. You want to give me your social media before I continue this, Fig? You want to give it to him?
Comedian Fig.
Okay.
Social media, Comedian Fig on all social media platforms. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Comedian Fig. What about you, Frank?
We want to especially thank NBA veteran Rod Strictland for coming on the show. We got to thank Kenny Williams for coming on the show. We even got to thank Rodney Perry for coming in a guest spot, which we did not plan. We want to thank Rodney Perry for coming in and thing. We got to thank Stack too for coming in, and Stack has been consistent. Even though he might not be giving other people a chance, we want to appreciate that. Now, to follow us, download the Humor Mill app. We on all social media platforms as Humor Mill. We will be back Monday, and we're gonna keep this show going. We got a couple of other headbangers coming in next week. Y'all are not gonna want to miss this. Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 is the box seats. I'm Frank Holder. That's Fig. That's Talent. We'll see y'all then. Take care.